Hi, I'm Christina Giorgio and welcome back to my hair series where we're creating easy fondant hairstyles together in real time. If you stumbled on this video first, make sure you go back and watch this very first one in the series. That's where I explain the main problems people face with fondant hair and how to fix them. You'll also find my free 4-part video series linked in the description. Grab it, download this template and watch the video so you can make one of these cool mannequin heads to practice your hairstyles on. Once you've got those ready, come back and follow along with me step by step. You'll get amazing results. Let's master creating cool curls and waves. Now this is a really nice spirally one. This is really nice side waves. These are great for more 1950s hairstyles. This is like a loose wave, and these are twisty curls that you would almost do if you were using a curling tong. Let's create the spiral first. So you want a ball. You want to create a tapered sausage. So you want it to be long and thin and have a lovely point to it. Now for this one, because it's spiraled, you're going to need it a lot longer than you actually want your hair, because as we spiral it, it will become much shorter. If you're using Saracino paste or you've got quite a lot of food colouring in this, it's going to be a lot softer and wetter for longer. So what I do for these is I would, if I was doing a whole head of these curls, I would create all of my curls in one go. So I would sit and make all of my tapered sausages and then leave them to the side, because this will just allow a little bit extra time for them to set and firm up a little bit more before I create the curl. So I'd probably make 20 of these, depending on how many you need, and then go in and curl them all individually so they don't stick to the tool. So you can take the back of a tool, any tool that you've got, or usually the right size is the back of a paintbrush. And you're literally just going to, now it's quite important that you do this. So the thicker tool is at the top, and then the tool usually gets thinner as it goes down. So make sure you work in that same way, so you get much nicer little ringlets. So you'd start there, and then you would literally fold as you go down. Now, you can curl round with quite a big distance, so it's a much looser curl. And if you want a really tight curl, I'm going to go a little bit on the thinner side of the tool, then you wrap much tightly around. Now, because I've just rolled this, it's probably going to stick to the tool, but you're going to let yours sit for a while. So then what you can do is just twist, 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 and then you can bring it out. Now that's quite a tight ringlet. You can pull it out. So it's exactly how you want it. And then you leave it on the table and allow it to dry. Not completely dry. You don't want it hard like this, but firm enough that when you lift it, it doesn't flop all the way around. And you can make yourself lots of those. Remember, wherever it lays and dries is how it will be. So then you'd go in and do all of your others. And that is how you get really nice ringlets. To create more of a spiral curl, as if you're using a curling tong, you're going to roll a ball. Again, a tapered sausage. Doesn't have to be as long this time. And you can either roll down it with a rolling pin or just actually tap it or with your fingers or your hand. So it's still quite thick and it's still quite narrow. Then what you want to do is put all of your streaks in, making sure you're going to the tip every time, like we talked about in the previous videos. Then you could pull it up and you could spiral it. If you want to make the wave, you would leave it straight at the top and then you would curl it at the bottom as if you're going around something. Okay, so I'm going to show you that again. So you'd curl it as if you're going around a tool. You can go around a thicker tool if you want, and you would leave it on the table like that to set. And again, you could add it later. So you want to do lots of them in one go. However, if you want to create a spiral, that's a little bit different. You actually just twist. So actually the best thing to do is, if you're creating a spiral, is you want to make the impression on the other side as well. Be aware that when you turn it over and start putting the impression on the other side, that it does make the opposite side fainter, but it's still better to have it on both sides. Then what you would do is you actually just twist it. A spiral like this. Has a twisty effect. Now, if you want to make a curl like this, then you do that completely differently. We start off the same way. Ball, tapered sausage. Then you're going to put your lines in. Do not crisscross. You can actually pull it if you want it slightly longer because it's still that nice thickness. And then you can leave it on the table. Well, actually put it in your hand and move from one side over to the other. If I do it on the table, you can see better. Just move from one side to the other like this. And then you can scrunch it up a little bit more. And again, let it lay. So this, you'd actually layer them on top. So this would go against the head. Otherwise you would have to, if it was going to be left out and you were going to see it a bit, you'd have to do some lines on the other side. But I think it's nice like that. They look quite nice layered onto each other. Now, when you're adding the curls to your head, put some of the streaks in, just like I've done before. And to give you an idea, what I might do actually is I've got 4 different hairstyles, right? So I might cut myself one here. Then I need to cut into this streak. So I would cut into that streak like that. Now I've got this square part. If I move that out, it's going to be a bit awkward. I might just cut like this. Then I've got another streak. And then I'll cut into this here. I've got another one. And actually, this I can kind of make work for me in a minute. So, say I wanted to put that one in. Right, what I could do is, I could quickly bring this back to more of a sausage shape. I could go in and create my ringlet. Yeah. Or I could go in if I wanted to do a wave. I also have to emboss the other side, don't I? Just put a couple in there like that. If I wanted to create my wave, I could just create a wave. Or what about a twist? We had twists earlier. Create my twist. And then this one, I would create my side wave. Obviously, you're not going to do it different on each one. You'd pick whichever curl you wanted and you do that for all of them. So what happens is when you put it against your model, you already have the whole part of the head covered, so you won't have any problems filling in the gaps, and you already have whichever curl you wanted started off. So then it just is a case of slipping it. So for the twist, you might want to see the twist next to it. You can just slip some in. But you see this curl here, it's easy for you then to pop that other curl next to it, and so on. So for this model, I've decided to go for a nice, gentle wave. So I'm just going to put a couple of lines in there, nothing too much. And just before I put those big streaks in, I'm just going to create a little bit of texture on the sides, because you would definitely see that. Turn it back over. Put my lines in again. They've come out a little bit. And then I'm going to create a couple of streaks. Cut that away there. So if I go over to my head, these are quite dry now, so you can add water, or you can always use a little bit of Trex. I love this because I can take it on and off. However, if you do let it dry on with this on a dry head, sometimes you can really pull them off. And it doesn't even affect the head later when they're super dry. So if you want to always practice hairstyles, Trex is definitely the better way to go. If you want it to stay on, then use a little bit of water. So what you're going to do is pop it on from the back. And then bring it around your sides. Grab your scissors. And then I might want to do a little wave. So this is always good to add your hair on right at the end when you've made your figure and you've got the shoulders and the arms to rest your hair on. It's also really cool because if you've made any mistakes with the arms, you can always cover it with the hair. So I just want to create a little bit of a curl here. Nothing too major. This I might just move around. So that's my starting point. And that's my foundation for the curls. As always, I'm going to give myself a few little streaks. You don't actually have to put anything on the back. That's good enough as it is. You can add some more streaks on the back if you want to make the head really full. I'm just going to work on the front because this is doing really easy hairstyles. So, you want a ball. Tapered sausage. Let's do a few of those. So maybe some bigger ones and then a couple of smaller ones. I'm going to keep it super simple. And then we can roll these out, or you can do it with your fingers. It's up to you. These, again, are still quite thick. So if I put this on and it's not long enough, I can pull it to where I want to go. Remember what happens if it's too long. You can't pull it to where you want to go, but I can show you a really cool trick if it's too long. So let me do that for you. Okay. We do a shorter one and a long one, and I'll show you how I can add them to the hair in the same way. Instead of just grabbing it and cutting it up and starting again, you don't want to do that. So let's chuck a couple of lines in there. Now, remember, we know that we are twisting this slightly. So we want to make sure that you can see the texture on each side. So I'm just going to do it lighter on this side so it doesn't take out too much from the other. As long as it's there, I'm happy, right? So for this one, if we wanted to come to the parting, which you can do by using the back of the knife tool, I like to use the back because, like I said before, it's thicker there and it goes down thin. So it just adds that cute bit of texture. I really love it. For the shorter piece, for example, you would add it to the top where the parting is, and you could pull it down. And then as you pull it down, you can create some sort of curl or wave that matches the rest, okay? But say you've got these long pieces, what you would do is you'd go the opposite way. Say you had long pieces and you curled it beforehand. What you do is you don't line it up with the rest of the hair. You don't line it up with the parting because it would hang low, right? You go higher and then you cut into the parting and then take that away. Neaten it up, okay? And then you've still got the same length as the other one. Then we can make a little twist here if we want to. Remember about having the paste thicker. It will hold its shape. It won't flop everywhere. As you go, you can add little bits of water if you want to make sure it doesn't move. My biggest tip with putting hair strands on is this. It sits lovely, and this looks all great when it comes out, even like this. Looks lovely. It's flicking in the air. It looks gorgeous, right? I'll show you. You've got it flicking in the air. It looks gorgeous. When this dries, it's not going to be flicking in the air. One tap on it and it's going to snap off, and then you're going to have a horrible edge, okay? Really important that you create the look of it in the air, but it's still stuck down in places. See, like that. So it's a lot harder to snap off. So although the movement's there, it's stuck at the base. That's important. So your very last pieces, you want them smaller than the ones before. What's that there, actually? We're just going to go in exactly the same way. Now, these last pieces, I know that I'm not going to twist over, which means I don't have to do the other side, which makes it a little bit faster for me. What I do like to do, to give a little bit of volume at the front of the hair, is pinch it. So pinch it back on itself, like that. And then when you add it, it comes up slightly higher, and then you can create movement like this. And you can like bring it round. You see? And then what you can do is you can just cut it in like that. The idea is that you use, let's fold it back on itself, you use as least pieces as possible, which makes it faster to create, and you still get that lovely volume. Can you see how I'm bringing it out? And then I'd stick it there. And then I'm kind of curling it round. So you've got all this curl, this volume, and you've used hardly any pieces. And it makes your life far easier. And it's so much quicker. As I said before, you can add pieces to the back if you want to bring it out. And you just add them the same way and go all the way around. I bet you've created something amazing that you're super proud of. But I hate to break it to you, there is no amount of great hair that can save a very scary face or a body that's out of proportion. You've got to get the basics right. Don't get me wrong, this has been a fabulous start. Learning to use your hands, your tools, and working with paste. But if you really want to nail the foundations of modelling, grab my free 4-part video series. And if you love these kind of tips and want behind the scenes extras and resources that you're not going to find anywhere else, come and join us in the Cake Creators Club. Everything's linked below. And if you're ready for the next hairstyle, it's right here in this video. I'll see you there.